Hey guys, welcome back to my big pre-move makeup declutter series. Today we are tackling all of my cheek products, bronzers, blushes, highlighters, both creams and powders. We're going to sort through all of this today, and really the goal of this declutter is to downsize as much as possible. Because of the way that we're moving, essentially we are just packing a few things in boxes and having those things shipped. So really the question I'm asking myself about each product is, do I love this enough and does this add enough value to my collection to make it worth it for me to pay to ship it? So I'm hoping to really downsize this by at least a third. That's the goal. I think this is going to be one of my tougher categories because I do love cheek products, especially blushes and highlighters. Those are like two of my favorite categories. So this might be kind of hard, but let's go ahead and get started. I've got my Dunkin' iced coffee to power me through this. Really trying to enjoy Dunkin' while we have it because they don't have it on the West Coast. So let's dig in. Let's start with bronzers. This is, I think, my smallest cheek category, so this shouldn't be too hard. I don't really feel like I need to cut this down too much. One that I know I'm going to keep is my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. I love this. This is one of my most prized makeup possessions. It was definitely one of my most expensive single products, and I love it so much. I have the shade Fair. Great bronzer for fair skin. Love it. So I'm keeping that. I'm also going to keep my two stick products here. I have the new LYS cream bronzer and also my long beloved Oma Double Take Contour and Highlight Stick in White Pearl. This has a contour and a highlighter on either side. I love both of these formulas. In fact, these remind me a lot of each other as far as the texture. I have the shade Motivate in this, which is the lightest shade that it comes in. That's what that one looks like. It's a good, like, true bronzer tone, but it's not too orangey. And then the Oma one is more of a kind of neutral to cool contour. There's the Oma, there's the LYS. But really, both of these have a pretty similar texture. Very creamy, smooth. You can draw these directly onto your face over your foundation, and they blend out so easily. They don't lift up the foundation underneath, they don't look patchy, they're just great. So I'm going to keep both of those. Alright, so here's one that I am going to let go of. This is the Jordana Powder Bronzer in the shade Sunkissed. I unfortunately ruined this. I was trying to repress it in hopes that it would make it less prone to hard pan, but I just wanted to experiment with something new, and I tried repressing it with a setting spray, the Urban Decay Chill setting spray, and now it's basically impossible to pick up any bronzer. It's just pretty much unusable. So unfortunately, I'm gonna go ahead and let go of that. It was kind of an experiment more than anything, and I don't really feel that attached to this bronzer. It is a little bit more sheeny than I typically am into these days, so that one I'm gonna go ahead and part with. I'll just probably dump out the bronzer and go ahead and recycle that packaging. I drop off my beauty products at like the Nordstrom Beauty Cycle. All right, let's see. I'm also gonna keep my Soul Body Bronzing Balm in Fair. This is a great potted cream bronzer, and I really do like this format of cream products. I like when they're in kind of a pot or a compact like this. This is so nice. It smells like summer. It blends beautifully, kind of dries down to a nice satin matte finish as well. So yeah, that's a really great one. I am going to keep that. All right, let's see. This Revolution bronzer, I also am going to part with this. I think a lot of you probably saw this coming. I haven't had this for very long. This is their Mega Bronzer. It says it's in 01 Cool, but a couple of you guys said that you think that this is mislabeled. I ordered the shade 01 Cool, but this looks so different in person compared to what the pictures looked like online. I thought I was going to be getting a nice light, cooler toned bronzer, but this is so much deeper and warmer than I was expecting it to be. This would make a good bronzer tone for, I think, medium skin tones, but on my fair skin it's just a little bit too harsh. And, you know, to compare it to that Charlotte Tilbury bronzer that I love, this is more my kind of tone. Something this depth or maybe a teeny bit deeper I can work with, but this is just too... You can see how much darker it is in the Charlotte Tilbury one. Anyway, because this is basically brand new, I've only used it a handful of times. I'm sure I can find somebody who would enjoy it a lot more than I would. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that on. All right, then we have, this is a face palette from BH Cosmetics. This actually has bronzers and highlighters in it. It's got 3 bronzers there on the top row and then 3 highlighters on the bottom. I love this formula so much. It is one of my favorites for both bronzer and highlighter. There is only one shade in here that I don't use, and that is this maple shade down here. That's just too deep for me as a highlighter. I could depot this, but as I've said before, I'm really not a depotter. I don't feel like I have the time or energy to do that right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this whole thing. I do use like 5 out of the 6 shades, so I think it's worth it to keep. Also, I just love BH Cosmetics. They're one of my favorite brands, so that one I'm gonna keep. And then the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer in Sunkissed. This is really the only cooler toned powder bronzer that I have, really more of a contour, and I like that it's matte. I really do enjoy this one, so I'm going to keep this one. All right, so here's what I ended up keeping versus getting rid of. I only got rid of 2, and I'm keeping the rest. So I didn't get rid of a ton, but I also didn't have that much to begin with, so hoping to get rid of a little bit more in those other categories. Let's go ahead and move on to blushes now. All right, so let's start with my cream blushes. Actually, these are all of them. This one is just what's left of my Clove and Hallow Hydratint liquid blush. This is everything that I was able to scrape out of there, so I think I probably have another like 3 to 5 uses left in here. I'm planning on just finishing this up before we go. So that'll be gone, that won't be coming with me. Then I have these 4 cream blushes that are in compacts. We have the LYS cream blush in Kindness, that is one of my favorites. This is my favorite format of cream blush, is any kind that's like in a compact or a pot. It's my favorite. The Tower 28 blush in Magic Hour, the Milani Cheek Kiss cream blush in Nude Kiss, and the Undone Beauty Lip to Cheek palette in Dahlia. I do like all of these, but there are 3 that I love and that I wouldn't want to part with: the Tower 28, the LYS, and the Milani. All 3 of those are just, they're some of my all-time favorites, so I can't see myself letting go of those. If I were to get rid of any of these, it would be the Undone Lip to Cheek in Dahlia, just because this color is so pigmented that I have to be really careful with it. I do think that this shade would be better suited to a deeper skin tone, a medium to deep skin tone. On me, it's just, that was just one really light swirl with my finger, and it is so pungent there. So this is a formula that I definitely would consider looking into maybe a lighter shade in the future, but I just think this one is a little bit too deep on me, and when I am going for a cream blush, I just want it to be very easy and effortless and kind of hard to mess up. So I think out of all of these, I am going to go ahead and pass on the Undone Beauty one. I know I keep saying this in these moving declutters, but if I weren't moving, I probably would keep this, but it's just the fact that I really am trying to downsize that I think it does make sense for me to go ahead and pass this on, find a new home for it. Keeping those 3, this one will be done, this Clove and Hallow liquid one, and passing on the Undone. Next up for powder blushes, this is probably one of my hardest categories because I do just love blush so much, but one that I know I can get rid of is this Kosas one. This is their Color and Light Pressed Duo in Papaya 1972. This I got as a gift with purchase, so I didn't even spend any money on it, so I don't feel too sad about letting go of it, but I really just do not like this. I don't like either side. It has this kind of what looks like a really light peachy blush on one side and kind of a peachy highlight on the other. So the main issue with this is that the blush will kind of cause these little red dots to appear on my face, and it's from the pigment in the blush. I think it's because it contains carmine, and something about the formulation of it, it causes those little red dots to appear. It looks really unnatural and strange. So that pretty much to me is reason enough to let go of this. I also just don't like the way that this blush goes on. It looks like a really light color that would work well for my skin tone, but it's so pigmented, and I find that it just goes on really blotchy a lot of the time. And then the highlighter, I just feel like it's a little bit too peachy yellow for my skin tone. It's just not very flattering. So that is enough reasons for me to go ahead and pass that on. A couple that I'm not getting rid of, these 2 from Koki. These are both pretty new to my collection. These are both their soft gradient blushes in the shades Bellissima and Star-Crossed. So these are cool because they have kind of an ombre look to them. This one in Bellissima, I made a TikTok about it. I love this color so much. I don't have anything else like it. It kind of goes from this dusty brick rose to a soft peach, and when you just swirl these 2 colors together, it makes the most perfect reddish color that really mimics that kind of sunburnt look that a lot of people are into these days. It just looks very natural, and it's great for summer, and I'm just loving the look of a red blush right now, and that's really the only like truly red color that I have. So that I'm going to keep, and it's nice that it has that lighter color in there so I can really customize it and I don't end up with too deep of a color. So that I'm going to keep. I'm also going to keep this other one from Koki in Star-Crossed. This one is cool because it kind of has 3 shades in it. It goes from this really bright hot pink to kind of a more lilac-y pink to a soft peach. I heard that this is a dupe for that really popular Dior blush that everyone loves, the really pink one. And I mean, I don't know for sure because I haven't tried that one, but it really does have that when you just swirl all the colors together. It has that nice kind of soft bubblegum pink that's been really on trend lately. So that one I'm going to keep because that is the only like really bubblegummy pink blush that I have. I'm kind of into that trend right now too. So that one I'm going to keep. All right, next up I have two more like nude cool pinks, a little bit less bubblegummy than that other one. We have the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blush in the shade Sweet Pea and the CoverGirl Cheekers blush in Natural Twinkle. Let me go ahead and swatch these side by side so we can take a look at how they compare. Okay, there are those two. Wow, I actually didn't realize how similar those were. That is the flower one in Sweet Pea, and that's the CoverGirl in Natural Twinkle. As far as which one I like better, I do like the flower one better. It's just a little bit more pigmented, and it doesn't have little flecks of shimmer in it. The CoverGirl one, it's mostly matte, but it has these little tiny glitter particles kind of mixed in. I don't love that. They don't look super apparent on my cheeks, but I would prefer just a straight matte. As you guys have seen, I've already hit pan on this CoverGirl one and repressed it. Actually, recently I repressed it, so there's really not much left in there. And honestly, among all my blushes, it is one of my least favorite formulas. I just think there's so many better formulas out there. Even at the same price point, I prefer the Essence one. Even the e.l.f. bite-sized blushes I think are better quality. This one's just so sheer. Even though I've come such a long way on this one and I hit pan and repressed it already, I think I am just going to go ahead and pass on the CoverGirl. I just don't feel like I like it enough to warrant taking it with me. And now it'll just be freshly repressed for whoever I do pass it on to. So yeah, I'm happy to keep just that flower one. Another two that I do think are kind of similar are the Essence, the blush in Befitting, and the e.l.f. bite-sized duo in Lychee. Let me go ahead and swatch both of these as well. So there are both of those swatched out. There's e.l.f. Lychee and Essence Befitting. Honestly, a lot more similar than I realized. I think the e.l.f. one is just a teeny bit darker, a little bit more of like a spicy color, but honestly, I don't feel like it makes sense for me to keep both of these, and I do think I like the Essence one slightly more. It's just a little bit smoother. The e.l.f. one is really not a bad formula. The other thing about this e.l.f. one, I really don't find myself using this shimmer side very often. This is meant to be a highlighter, but on my skin tone, obviously it's a bit too deep. So I would sometimes mix it with the matte side if I wanted to make sort of a glowier blush. But honestly, lately I just prefer either a matte or satin finish powder blush. I do like a glowy blush like the Milani Luminoso, that one I love, but I just don't find myself using that shimmer side, so I feel like half of it is kind of not really getting used anyway. So I think I might as well go ahead and pass that on, especially seeing how similar it is to the Essence. And I just think the Essence shade is a little bit more flattering on me because it's just a little bit lighter. So here's that. Alright, these other three, I think I just want to keep these three because I really do love them all. But we have these are all of my kind of peachy blushes. We have the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in Always Cheeky, the Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso, and these are the two in my Aether Amber cheek palette, and this also has a highlighter in it. So I think I'm going to keep all these because I really do love these, and peach is one of my favorite categories of blush. But let me go ahead and just swatch them. So there's the e.l.f. Primer Infused in Always Cheeky and the Milani Luminoso. Honestly, those are really similar. The Milani is just kind of a glowy version of the e.l.f. one, so that's kind of good to know. But I really do love both of those. And there are the two in the Aether palette. That's the lighter one and that's the deeper one. I love this Aether trio. I really love the undertone of those blushes. And they are, I think, different from the Milani and the e.l.f. So I think I am going to go ahead and keep all of these. There's just no reason for me to get rid of them. Alright, so here's what I'm keeping blush-wise. We have 11 here, if we count each of these as one, and then I'm passing on these 4, and then this one here is that Clove and Hallow one that will be finished. So that's almost a third. 11 plus 5, 16, basically getting rid of 5 out of 16. So not too bad. Alright, so here are all of my highlighters. I know I'm not going to pass on either of my Aether Beauty ones. I love these so much. These are their Crushed Diamond highlighters in Pink Diamond Dust and Pure Diamond Dust. They seem to have discontinued these for the time being. I'm really hoping they bring them back with their new branding, but I absolutely love these. They are glimmery and wet looking and so smooth, and just they're some of the most gorgeous highlighters I own. One from Aether that I actually am going to pass on, this is their Desert Sky highlighting oil. I talked about this in my faves and fails video back in, I guess, late May it was, and this for one, I'm not much of an oil person. I don't really like facial oils. You can use this underneath your makeup or on top of it. They say on top it just doesn't work well because it's so oily, and I just don't use this kind of thing underneath makeup. Also, it's really prone to separation and it's very hard to get it mixed back together because there's no little shaky bead in there. So I just don't think this type of product is really for me. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on now. Another one that I can pass on is this Essence Pure Nude highlighter. This is just too deep for me. It's the shade Be My Highlight, which is the lightest shade that it comes in, but the undertone of it, you can kind of tell, it just ends up making my skin have this weird looking shadow on it. And this is also basically brand new, so I'm sure that someone else will get a lot of use out of this. Alright, so these three are all kind of more pinky toned highlighters. This is my only remaining cream highlight. This is the Undone Beauty Water Highlighter in the shade Rose Lit. I really like this for like a subtle highlight. Really pretty. I also like how cooling it is. I think I probably will keep that. Okay, I've just been standing here staring at all these for the past like 5 minutes because I can't seem to make up my mind. But I know I already decided to keep these two Aether ones, but I'm just going to keep them here with these so that I can kind of compare similar colors and undertones. I think one of these that I can go ahead and part with is the Estate highlighter in Lunar. This is, as you can see, they totally ripped off ColourPop here with this packaging. It's formulated exactly like a Super Shock. I really do like this highlighter. I think it's really nice. I'm just not as into this type of formula lately. I feel like it's almost a little bit too like silicone-y or something, and I often do find like my blush, it kind of, I don't know, it moves it around. So I also have colors similar to this in my other highlighters. Like I feel like it has a slight pink undertone, kind of like this Pixie one, this Aether one, even my Undone Cream highlight. So I don't think I would miss this one too much. So I think I will go ahead and pass on that Estate one. This ColourPop one I included in my like full face of my least used products video. This one is very duochromy. It has like a white, frosty, mostly transparent base and then this pink flip. Honestly, I think this is a really fun color. Even though I don't use it all that often, I would like to keep it because I don't know, I just like it. It's kind of fun for like a monochromatic pink look. This Estate Baked Highlighter in Lit, very underrated. I love this. I've been raving about it for a while. It has a really nice kind of soft, light champagne golden tone to it that is just very flattering on my skin tone. My Becca highlight in Champagne Pop, this one's not going anywhere. This is one of my favorite powder highlighters. I just have the mini of this. This actually has been repressed, so there's really not much left in here. I would like to eventually use that up. Definitely not getting rid of my Nabla Skin Glazing highlight in Privilege. This is just one of my favorite formulas. It's a nice kind of peachy sort of highlighter. There's that right there. Yeah, that one I'm gonna keep. I think if I were to get rid of any of these, it would probably be the Pixie one. This is the Pixie Glowy Gossamer Duo in Subtle Sunrise. The only thing with this is that I can't really use the pink side on its own because it's just a little bit too deep for my skin tone, but I can either use this light golden side on its own or I can mix the two together, and I do really like the two mixed together. Let me swatch, kind of mix the two together and see what that swatch looks like. So there's the pink on its own, there's the gold on its own, and there's the two mixed. Really pretty. I love how smooth this formula is. I will say I do feel like the two mixed together is kind of similar to my Nabla. There's Nabla Privilege and there's those two Pixie ones mixed together. It's honestly quite similar, but I really don't want to let go of this Pixie one. Like, it makes me sad to think about parting with it. So I think if I feel that way, I think it makes sense for me to go ahead and keep it. I mean, it really doesn't take up much space. So, I don't think I'm going to get rid of any of these. The only two that I could maybe see myself parting with would be the Pixie and the ColourPop Monster, but I don't really want to. I think they're both really cool. So that's the last cheek category. Let me go ahead and put all this back together and count up how much I've decluttered so far, and we'll see if I need to let go of anything else. Alright, so if we're counting each product as one thing, including like palettes or duos, those just count as one product here, I'm getting rid of 9 and I'm keeping 24. So I got rid of about 27%, so not quite a third, but honestly that's close enough, especially seeing how well my base product declutter went. This is definitely one of the hardest categories for me to let go of things, so I am pretty happy with that. This is, normally my cream products are stored in a separate drawer. I'm not really sure what my makeup storage is going to look like in the new place with however I set things up, but having all of this fit in one drawer I think is pretty good for me. So I'm happy with that. That was a lot harder than I was expecting. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this cheek product declutter. Definitely stay tuned for the rest of this series. I'll also leave my base product declutter link down below. I think the next category is going to be palettes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this declutter. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you've not already. And hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!